Hi, I'm Claude.
And I'm Clinton, and we're the lamest offenders. Today's episode, we're going to be reviewing the Black Widow movie. Does it stick the landing, or is it like the lamest offenders and 10 years too late? Hi, Thanos. We're the lamest offenders.
I don't even know who you are.
We have a small but dedicated fan base.
Be sure to visit our sponsor at BaskervilleProductions.com.
Welcome back. So, Black Widow finally, after 2 years of waiting since Far From Home, is finally out. Thanks, COVID. But we're here, and it starts out with Black Widow, and she's, for whatever reason, it was surprising to me, she's in Ohio. It takes place in 1995. She's got blue hair, and she's just a little kid, just having fun, living her life. And I didn't know anything about, I guess her backstory with her, being in America. And then she has a little sister, which you could kind of probably already guess who that is. It's Yelena, based on the trailers. Yeah. And then, so it turns out this is all ruse. So her parents, played by David Harper and Harbour, and
that's what I said.
he's a Red Guardian. So his mission, him and his wife's mission, basically is to infiltrate the United States and get some more information that they can bring back.
The wife played by the wife Milena, played by Rachel Weisz. So.
Right. And then the whole deal with them is them just stealing American information from the labs and stuff, because the whole gist is the Black Widow program wants to chemically force people to do things instead of maybe that psychological thing. So now there's a physical aspect where they can't just escape out of it, kind of like Scarlett Johansson did. Yeah. And ScarJo. And so anyway, so it was really it was an awesome beginning. Everything.
I was actually very engaged throughout most of the movie, but the first part, this little prelude really actually hooked me. It was awesome. Yeah. Because so David Harbour comes back, or Red Guardian, Alexei comes back home from work, and he's like, oh, how was your day? He's like, yeah, it's okay. And then he just stares at Milena, and it's like, oh, we gotta go. Yeah, it's time to go.
So, come on, kids, we're finally doing our big adventure. Because what they need to do is defect out of the country, because he knows that all the information's stolen. Now S.H.I.E.L.D. and the local authorities or the military are after them. So
it happens quick too.
Yeah, it's really quick.
Really impressive, honestly.
I loved his haircut. It was the classic '90s bowl cut.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty awesome. So they obviously get away after. It was a really cool chase sequence because they're trying to escape through a little small plane.
Yeah,
and then S.H.I.E.L.D. comes in, and then they have to fight on the runway, and then that was neat.
Yeah, it's almost an abandoned little mini, one of those little mini airports you see throughout some of the countryside in the Midwest, and
gotta check them for KGB apparently. So they eventually escape, and then they head to Cuba, and that's where he gives over the information to the big boss regarding the stuff that they stole, so he could take it back, because he actually heads up the entire Black Widow program. Or, the Red Room.
And I'm gonna say, I absolutely hated David Harbour in this scene. Because at the time we didn't know that they were. I thought they were actually his children, his girls, and they just bump a needle into his daughters, and they just go away.
Be brave.
Oh, okay. It's wow. Yeah. Okay. It was very jarring. But now it was just looking back, okay, they actually weren't his kids, but still, they were with them for 3 years.
Yeah. It was cool, later in the movie too, because he's like, that was a boring mission.
He's dumping all over him the whole time. This mission sucked. I was the Red Guardian. I wanted to break things.
Yeah. And that's honestly probably one of my favorite parts of the entire movie, is just David Harbour, his character. It's just because there's a lot of times where
he was really good.
Yeah, he always reminisces about his time as a Red Guardian. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's in there. So we fast forward a little bit, and Yelena is broken of the hypnosis, and she reaches out to Natasha to try to get her involved with this mission.
Why I guess Yelena is free from the Black Widow program now is, so they have the sort of red fart gas that if somebody gets blown with it totally it kills the trigger, the chemical binding.
Yeah.
to basically mind control them. So that's how she gets free, is because her whole point is trying to find those, and then the scientist, or I guess a former Black Widow, actually sprays her with it.
Yeah.
So
and the former Black Widow dies in a brutal way.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nasty.
It was like she just like sticks the blade in her gut, twists it, and it just flips it out. Like,
yeah. IBS, right there, for sure.
Am I right?
Yeah, come on now.
When Natasha and Yelena met, there was this big fight scene, and between them and then later with some of the other Black Widows, but it was so over the top with the fighting. Like, she'll just like kind of like gently, like you'd like kind of kick her, and Natasha would just like bounce off of walls and just going everywhere. And then you've probably seen in the trailer, there's like this part where they break this large pipe, and they're falling, and Natasha bounces off, like she drops like 6 stories, like 5 or 6 stories. She just gets up and just like, woo, that was close.
Then the other like widow that was after them is just like laying there dead,
just like legs broken, like ow. So they break Alexei out of jail, and one of the better. It was a great jailbreak scene, honestly. Like, it was really so over the top and ridiculous. It
wasn't as good as Falcon and the Winter Soldier trying to.
Demo just like walks out. Nothing will top that.
Right.
It was also very, very entertaining because Alexei's he's just like arm wrestling every guy who walks in. He's just telling the story about how he like beat up Captain America in 1983 or something like that. And this guy sits down, like, he was still frozen. And he's like, oh, was he? He just like breaks his wrist.
He snaps his wrist. That was a really cool, like how they escape, or how he escapes. It's Yelena and Natasha basically in this big helicopter. And then they send in mail to Red Guardian. Basically, it's an action figure. So he pulls a string, and then it starts talking. The head falls off, and then he has an earpiece. And then that's how they guide him out of the prison. And then it's also awesome, too, because Yelena's not taking any crap. She's getting a lot of fire because she's the pilot of the helicopter. And then she fires a rocket launcher, blows up the tower, and that's what causes this really cool set piece with the avalanche coming in. Really so then it was a race to get him out, which it was weird because Natasha's on this big, cable. And I'm like, how is she going to lift his fat ass up? And I was like, how is this going to work? So one of the biggest things for this movie, personally, and one of the things I was really hyped up about seeing was finally Taskmaster. So in the comics, he's a really cool character. Even though in the trailers he looks like an amateur paintballer, but I was like, whatever, I could look over that. But if you don't know anything about him, basically his entire power set is mimicking others. So if he watches somebody fight, he knows everything about it. He can mimic everything, and that's a really cool power set. So you're first introduced to him. Basically just watching other superheroes, like it's a big screen. And so he's watching Black Panther, Black Widow fight. He's got Hawkeye's bow and arrow training. And so that was really cool. So basically the main bad
claws too.
That's
kind of cool.
So like the main bad guy, Dreykov, who's the head of the entire Red Room, the Black Widow training, basically sends him off to go find the red fart gas. Because he obviously that's a that's
a no-no.
He needs to get rid of that really fast. So, so he eventually finds Natasha because apparently she has the gas or whatever. So
it was in a Budapest box that she got through her acquisitions guy that we've never known until this point. So,
less of him. The
less said about him, the better. It's just like whatever. So means to an end.
Right. And then so when Taskmaster initially attacks Black Widow on the bridge, that was really cool because it kind of came out of nowhere. And that entire fight scene was really impressive because literally everything that she was doing, he was just mimicking. One of my biggest gripes about Taskmaster is just how he's portrayed. He's kind of a creepy dude because like all he does is watching screens and he doesn't ever talk. And he's kind of a smartass in the comics, so that was kind of disappointing to me. And you just see him like just breathing heavily anytime like it's in the scene. And he reminded me of more of a robot.
He's like a Terminator.
And I guess that's cool, but he was less cool than Winter Soldier.
Exactly. We've already had that with Winter Soldier, so it's like less the point.
And then every time on his like snowboarder visor, like it was like downloading, like just stupid. So I mean, but I guess we could just spoil it for him for the Taskmaster stuff.
Yeah.
Might as well.
For sure.
So it turns out Taskmaster backing it up. So Black Widow in Budapest, her whole mission was she wanted to get rid of Dreykov because she wanted her revenge. So she teamed up with Hawkeye to get rid of him. So Dreykov was just minding his own business, and he has a daughter that actually walks in the building. That confirms his location, and then that's when Black Widow initiates the attack, and then she assumes that she kills the daughter. Well, it turns out...
Well, the explosion was supposed to take out both of them, and she thought they were both dead. She's like, okay, bye. Drive away.
It sucks for you. Yeah. So it turns out she didn't die, and Dreykov, because all of his knowledge with the Red Room and the Black Widow program is Taskmaster is actually his daughter. Yeah. And she somehow survived.
I honestly, I thought, I was hoping when they... Because you could kind of see it was going to be Dreykov's daughter. So I was like, I wonder if she's going to be Echo. Because... that's someone from the Daredevil comics who she's deaf, but she can mimic everything. I was like, oh, that would have been a perfect Taskmaster. Like, she lost her hearing in the explosion, something like that. Like ooh, boy. But nope, she's fine. Just got some scars on her face.
Right, yeah. It was just kind of disappointing. So eventually, after the years go on, so after they free Red Guardian from prison, they meet up with pretty much bringing back the band together. Yeah. So Black Widow, and then you have Yelena, the mom, and then the Red Guardian, and then that was really a fun scene just to see them interact in that little village, in her house. So
her little pig farm. Where,
it gets revealed too that she was one of the scientists. The mom was one of the scientists in charge of developing this chemical agent to basically force all the Black Widows to do that, and that's unfortunately Yelena's whole thing was she was chemically controlled by it.
Yeah, by her own mother, basically. But, she alerted, Milena alerted the Red Room, and they were on their way to basically get them. So, we're already spoiling everything. So her and Black Widow, her and Natasha work out this scheme to basically get on board and just kind of, basically take out every information they can, bring the Red Room down, and save the day. Yeah. So... That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and that final act was pretty cool. Just I don't know, there was some aspect, I really liked when Taskmaster finally fought Red Guardian. That was kind of a cool fight too. Yeah. Because Red Guardian, you've been hearing, he's just been hyping himself up. He squeezes fat ass into the Red Guardian costume, and it's just... He does a pretty decent job fighting him off.
He's still a super soldier. So he was Russia's first and only super soldier, and he's bragging about that the whole time, which is pretty great. But so the Dreykov reveals too that this pheromone that he has, so I guess it's like a cologne of some kind.
It's natural ball scent.
It prevents anyone from harming him. So Natasha can't pull the trigger when she's right in front of him. She can't bring the knife down on him. So that was kind of cool. So then Milena told her you have to break this nerve right here.
Olfactory nerve. Controls your sense of smell.
So she did. She just takes her head, just bangs it against against this guy's desk. She's I broke the link. And she just beats the crap out of him.
Right, because I guess he reveals his secret supervillain plan, which he's got all these sleeper cells in every country, and he's going to screw stuff up.
Which was kind of cool because it was that scene in Avengers in the very beginning where we're reintroduced to Black Widow, and she's like, why are you calling me? This guy's an idiot. He's giving me everything. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. That was a nice little callback. But
And what was really stupid is their actual base was just some sky satellite thing. It reminded me of James. Yeah, it reminded me of a James Bond set piece, and I was like, how did no one see this? Especially S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the day. So then there's this climactic battle where he activates all the other widows, and basically the widows are trying to stop the hijinks that's going on in this big, basically space station in the sky. And of course, Yelena still has the red poo gas. And while Black Widow was fighting off, 12 or 15 of them?
Just quite a few. Yeah. She said, I don't want to hurt you. You don't want to hurt me. Yeah. And then she proceeds to hurt all of them.
Yeah. Breaks numerous bones.
It was pretty funny.
So then that's where Yelena saves her by throwing the gas grenade, and then it frees everybody. And Black Widow still feels, or Natasha really still feels bad because it's revealed that Taskmaster is the daughter. Yeah. So obviously she's like, ooh, I gotta smooth things up because she knows she's under the mind control. Yeah. So she has a fight with her basically when the whole thing crashes down, and luckily she still has one more poo gas canister and blows her with it
like pocket sand.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, and that was That was entertaining just to see, because now it opens up the idea where Taskmaster might actually go and do more of her comic book things. Maybe she becomes a mercenary because she has a skill set.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see where they take her in the future, because there's no way they just stop.
No. I hope not. I like you. I enjoy the villain Taskmaster, and I want it to continue.
Right. So overall, I mean, I like this movie. I thought it was very enjoyable. There were some parts that reminded me of Winter Soldier, which is one of my all-time favorite Marvel movies. So yeah, I really liked it. I feel like this movie, like we said in the intro, should have been done a long time ago. It would have been, or even immediately after Civil War, would have been perfect, because that's exactly where it should have been.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, it's just dragging feet with the movie executives trying to like have this female-led movie, and it finally happened, and it's 20 times better than Captain Marvel. So I think this is how the movie should have been done, and I don't know, Scarlett Johansson should have had a solo movie a long time ago.
Yeah.
But overall, like I said, this movie is awesome. I'm giving it an 8.3.
Okay.
It was enjoyable.
This was a great swan song for ScarJo as Black Widow. It just kind of wrapped everything up in this nice little bow, and just, I don't know. I'm giving it a 7. I was very shocked at how much I enjoyed it. I did not have great expectations for this movie at all, but it really surprised me. It was pretty good.
And then, so it's really cool too to see where they're going forward with it, especially after the credit scenes about what happens, and you have Yelena visiting the grave.
Yeah.
And then she gets a special guest. And who might that guest be?
Valentino, or Elaine from Seinfeld comes back. So.
And just like Falcon and Winter Soldier, she's probably working for Ross and building her own team. So she's recruiting her. And the target is actually a Hawkeye. So I feel like Yelena's going to be a bad guy in the Hawkeye Disney Plus show. So we'll see how that goes. So, but they're definitely continuing her and trying to be her the next Black Widow.
For her to take up that mantle, that's awesome. I think she'll make a great Black Widow.
Yeah, she's a great actress. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's our review for Black Widow. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch us for our next episode, which is the final episode of Loki. So pretty pumped for that one.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Stay lame.
See ya.